Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call the July 28th meeting to order of the Common Council. Clerk Toronto, I believe you would like to make some comments regarding the link for this meeting and other expectations.
Good evening, members of the public. For audio quality, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default to maintain good audio quality for council members and yourselves. If you would like to speak during the meeting on a certain agenda item or during privilege of the floor, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so will be listed. We ask that you provide your full name, address, and topic you are speaking on, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings. If you would like to be called on during the meeting to provide public input, please insert the following into the chat and you will be called on during the relevant time. My name is full name, I live at address, and I would like to speak for or against an agenda item. You will be given 5 minutes to speak. Please be sure to unmute yourself prior to giving your remarks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're getting ready to have our invocation today, so I'm going to ask everyone, would you please stand? And we would like to welcome to the podium Pastor Joel Moody from Sunnyside Presbyterian Church. Give your name and address for the record.
I'd be happy to do that, councilperson. Thank you so much. My name is Joel Moody. I work at 115 South Francis Road, Sunnyside Presbyterian Church. Thank you for this gracious invitation to offer this invocation. And as we prepare to do business on behalf of the people of South Bend tonight, I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer. Holy One, we are grateful for the beauty of this day. Cultivate within us a spirit of gratitude, giving thanks for the shelter, the air conditioning we enjoy, for the food and water which sustain us, for strangers who have become friends. Help us also to be grateful for the gift of government, for the ways public servants discuss, discern, and debate how to bring greater human flourishing to our city. Grant to each of our council members this evening wisdom and strength to do justice, to love kindness, and to govern with humility. Help us to remember each and every person who calls South Bend their home, that we are governing for them, to govern in a way that promotes their general welfare. And as we conduct the messy work of politics and compromise, may we keep our focus on the very real flesh and blood human beings who are made in the very image of God. Thank you for these civil servants. Bless them tonight in their work. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Now we'll repeat the Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Toronto, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Good Rogers,
Present.
Councilmember McBride,
Present.
Councilmember Warner,
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Councilmember Niskoski,
Present.
Councilmember White, Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Present.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Present.
President Lee,
Present.
all 9 council members present.
All right, we'll now have reports from the Subcommittee on Minutes for the July 14, 2025 meeting.
To the Common Council of the City of South Bend, the subcommittee has inspected the minutes of the July 14th, 2025 meeting of the council and found them to be correct. Therefore, we recommend the same be approved.
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
There's been a second in the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes. All right, we have no reports there's no special business or reports from city offices. I would now entertain a motion resolving to the Committee of the Whole. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion passes.
The Committee of the Whole is now in session. This is the portion of the council's meeting where bills are given a second reading at a public hearing before a committee made up of all 9 council members. All bills set for this second reading and public hearing have previously been given a first reading and a committee hearing prior to this evening's meeting. In addition, we will hear from the chairperson of the standing committee where the bill was discussed and the results of that discussion. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from a staff member will be given. In all other situations, the formal presentation on the proposed ordinance will immediately follow the committee report. The formal presentation shall be untimed. Following the formal presentation on the bill, council members will have the opportunity to ask preliminary questions of the staff and presenters. Then the members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council in the public hearing portion. I kindly remind all council members to respectfully address himself or herself to the chair to be recognized prior to speaking. When two or more council members seek recognition at once, the chair will name the member who shall speak first. A council member shall only be granted the right to speak a second time on the same question or issue after each council member has had an opportunity to speak on that issue or question. Clerk Torado, can you please give Bill 3025 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1114 Mayflower Road, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Hang on just a second. We'll get to you. Is there a committee report for Bill 3025?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The Zoning and Annexation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring Bill number 3025 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Staff Member, we'll turn it over to you. Please share with us key points of the bill.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, council members. To start, I believe our petitioner was having some issue getting into Teams, and I was just hoping to check it to see first off if anyone representing this project is on the call.
Good evening. I am here, David Turner. I did get in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yes, I'm Mark Delastrito, zoning specialist with the City of South Bend with offices on the 14th floor. Before you is Bill number 3025, petition for a special exception by the owner of 1114 South Mayflower Road to permit a school, pre-K, primary, or secondary as defined in section 210601 F11 of the city zoning code within the suburban 1 district. And in this specific case, the school would be an early childhood pre-K program. The building on the property, which is shown here, excuse me, previously served as a daycare starting in 2012, meaning that this new use would be fitting for the existing structure. Here's the driveway to the side of the property, and then an overhead. A pre-K program would also fit the surrounding land use in this area and the zoning of a suburban residential neighborhood, and it would be compatible with recommendation E5.1 from the city's comprehensive plan, which is to establish and maintain a consistent planning, review, and development process with institutions of higher education, private schools, and the SBCSC to address existing and future school facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. And to our petitioner, is there anything you would like to add?
Good evening. My name is David Turner, and I live at 50771 Hollyhock Road, South Bend, Indiana, 46637. Nothing in particular to add, but I just want to acknowledge and appreciate the responsiveness of staff, Tim and various members of the actual staff as I work through this process. We are excited for the outcome. Early childhood, as an educator myself who relocated from Baltimore, Maryland with my family 2 years ago, just always excited about the opportunity and the potential that exists, especially as it relates to one of our most vulnerable population, which is our children and our young people in general. So we're just hoping to be able to create the space in this part of South Mayflower and to be able to open in the upcoming months. Just thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I will address a couple points that were confusion in the committee hearing. First, that was, even though the special exception is for pre-K, primary, and secondary, the purpose here would be for pre-K and daycare for kids under pre-K age, not the primary and secondary. And then it was brought up about this has already been a daycare before, but because the zoning has changed and there will be a pre-K here where there wasn't pre-K before, we now require the special exception.
Yeah, that's correct. The pre-K required a more expansive use, which was the pre-K, primary, secondary.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. I asked this in committee, but I thought it was important to say I fully support the expansion of pre-K and younger seats across the city. But could you reiterate for us this evening how many pre-K seats you expect to have in this facility and what are the ages?
Can't hear him. He's talking. He's muted.
My apologies. Yep, there we go. Mute button always gets you. So again, it would range from your infants, 6 weeks, all the way to 5 years. It is not intended to be a formal school setting, but a more engaging daycare space. As we work with the state in terms of just credentialing, we understand that the younger kids need a larger square footage. And so we have estimated no more than 40 seats with a rolling enrollment.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
At what level will your pre-K school, I know that the state of Indiana has the pathways to for daycare ministries and for childcare ministries. At what level are you guys applying for?
Good question. And so we're applying, ultimately out the gate, we want to be able to be pathway all the way up to, I think, 4 or 5. But based on what we're able to present, we would be at level 2 or 3. Okay. And we just want to clarify that, the term was used earlier this evening. We purchased an operation that was operating as a ministry, nonprofit. This is not intended to be a ministry. So I think the previous owners were laity of some sort, and so their operation was nonprofit in a ministry setting. This is not intended to be a ministry. For profit sounds inappropriate, but the idea is that folks will be paying and will be accepting the appropriate vouchers and so forth that people qualify for. So it would be a business, yes. So that's a little bit more than you asked for.
Thank
committee
you.
member.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Thank you. We're always wanting more pre-K. I just have a few questions about the population you plan to service. I'm always concerned about you're in that neighborhood and how will you make sure that the children in that neighborhood maybe have first dibs on getting in?
Yes.
How is your application progress? Yes.
Yes, thanks for raising that. I'll just go back to who I am as an individual and some of the things that drive me. As someone who has served as an educator in Brooklyn, New York, and most recently the last 5 years in the city of Baltimore, I understand the need to ensure that my operation and practices are equitable and that it serves the needs of the community. And so the intent there is to ensure that folks who may not be able to attain to the price point that we will set, that is in line with just what is happening in that area, also have access. We are open to ensuring that families that do qualify for vouchers and other forms of support are part of our space. We're not creating a space for individuals outside of the community. Otherwise, we would have sought to do business in other spaces, but it's specifically intended to ensure that families who choose to be part of our program can be accepted and can be supported.
I have one more question, if I may, Chair.
Yes.
So what about students that are perhaps on the spectrum, may need speech therapy and everything? I'm not sure about those levels that President Lee we're talking about, but does that you allow a lot of times South Bend Community School Corporation has to service these children. Tell me a little bit about your plans for students with those needs.
We have not fully fleshed out that design, but I will just want to reiterate that having worked in some other smaller school communities, I have seen folks who have been disadvantaged because they have not been properly resourced. I've also been an administrator in private schools that take your good hard-earned money and not necessarily provide the outcomes. We want to ensure, and we will ensure, that we are a space that attends to the needs of everyone who qualifies to be in our program. There's a difference between, someone being qualified for services in a normal school setting that might look like an IEP, but we will then be able to tailor it and where we're providing the appropriate accommodations. And I just want to extend that. We talk about, again, when we think about what we are seeking to create, we talk about the needs of children, but we also understand very much that it's also creating a space to partner with families who themselves are sometimes hard pressed to support children who need the additional support. So we think about the family forums that we'll be creating, more than just newsletters and resources that would be in our websites, but bi-weekly parent forums just to help those families who desire the support with children who might be what we call the general education student. There's no services that needed. We're living in a different time, but we come from a place where you understand that students are more successful. Children are more successful. Children have a greater chance of being successful when there's a strong partnership in the community. And in this way, we talk about the space we're creating and the families that we serve.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go to the public hearing portion. Members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council, beginning with members of the public in favor, with each limited to 5 minutes, and then going on to members of the public against, again, limited to 5 minutes. Any members of the public, either in person or online, wishing to speak in favor, please provide your name and address for the record. Thank you. Welcome.
Good evening. Sue Castle, 422 Kennedy Drive. I think it's always great that we have more resources for children. I'd like to bring up that we have a literacy crisis in South Bend. And so I'm hoping and curious if he's going to have special programs to help with ABCs, reading, and numbers, because there's a big deficiency currently in South Bend. So I wondered if that was part of the curriculum.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No, I just am concerned about literacy because a lot of the kids aren't at iRead level. So just something to consider, that we need to promote that at the earliest possible time to get students ready for school.
Thank you. Any other members of the public, either in person or online, wishing to speak in favor of Bill 3025?
I'd like to add a comment. Once you are talking about the ABCs,
Thank
it's
you.
very,
We need your name
Oh, I'm
and
so
address,
sorry.
please. Thank you.
this is Peggy Foster, 3210 Sugar Maple Business Court is my business address, and I'm also a resident. If you're taking this seriously, it's important to understand not just the ABCs, but to understand the in-depth need to teach phonemic awareness. That is very critical at the early preschool age, and that's more than a apple, you have to have in-depth knowledge and training. The tools needed would be sand and a stick and the linguistic knowledge. But if you're very concerned about that concern, I thought I would present that it's just more than the ABCs. It's an in-depth knowledge of phonemic awareness. And this spans across the spectrum of financial stability within the house. You can be very poor and very wealthy, but if you don't have a knowledge of phonemic awareness, and many kids don't, it has to be taught. It's not something that just occurs. Many kids can figure the system out, but again, there's a majority of the kids who are not figuring it out, who really need systems and structures of linguistic knowledge from their providers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak in favor of Bill 30-25?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor at this time.
Thank you. Any members of the public, either in person or online, wishing to speak against Bill 30-25?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill at this time.
Thank you. To our petitioner, would you like to make any rebuttal regarding the comments?
I do agree. The intent of what I understand to be the intent of the last two commenters, and I appreciate the comment where the learning space has to be a very intentional space. I know this for a fact. I tell folks that I work in schools, but my wife is the educator, and not because she is licensed or had gone to receive her PhD, but I've seen her even when we were in Maryland take students at all levels. Right now, we have worked with two brothers who have gone out over the summer and tested above grade level. So learning is fundamental to what we do. And I know there are various tools and methodologies that I'm familiar that attends to that, but I just also want to circle back to the outcomes are best when it involves the parent, it involves families. And so we are attending to the little ones, but we also will be intentional about creating space for the ones who go home with them every evening, who love and care for them. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring it back to council. Any comments, questions? Councilmember Niezgodski.
Thank you. As the 6th District Council member, this is not far from where I actually live, and I would like to thank Mr. Turner for your investment in the community. And I'd like to hear about the family and the parental involvement. I think that is key to learning as well. And if you're able to bridge that with our young ones coming up, I think it's just a win-win for the community and especially for where I live. And I hope that a lot of the neighbors around there, because there are a lot of kids in that neighborhood behind you all the way there to, I think it's Melrose. So I think there would be some people that would like to take advantage of that. So thank you for your investment. Thank you for your insight, and thank you for caring about our children in the community. And I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee.
Looking forward
Yes.
to meeting you, Councilmember.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Mr. Turner for the investment and also the investment in our kids and making sure that our kids have an opportunity. As a former child care facility director, I know the importance of how making sure that our kids are learning pre-K going into school is very important. So thank you very much, and we wish you much success.
I'd like to also, Mr. Chair, I'd like to thank the investor for helping out in the community. My church owns the property right near yours. It's an open field, and we will be doing something there. So I really appreciate that whole area being developed in the way that you plan to do, and that is a wonderful location for your area.
Yes, Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Thank you. We really do appreciate it. We do need more pre-K to get these students ready. I have a question, and based on what you said, I heard you say that you were an administrator, so you have an education degree. Will your teachers, the level of education do they have? Because the strength of the teacher, that really determines what's happening in that space as a ongoing public school and guidance counselor. Sometimes we can complain about the families, but the bottom line is the state's looking at our scores. So tell me a little bit about that, and then I want to give you the name of Cheryl Baptiste.
Yeah. Yeah.
phenomenal
Council
person that
member, you
can-
opened a can, you opened up a whole can, and we have other
Okay.
people to talk about.
Let's-
But
Can-
you know,
can we-
Do that.
So
Yes.
can we make it a half a can?
Yes.
So I appreciate the good policy discussions. This,
Okay.
I will say this is a zoning and land use bill.
Okay, all right,
But,
all right. Well,
So go ahead, sir. Thank you.
all right, so just the lid of the can. I agree, and I say to you in transparency, good help is hard to find. So what we know we have to do is how do we, in terms of ongoing professional development, almost like on the job training, because the folks aren't there lining up to do this kind of work. And you are very much aware of that, especially as you talk about attending to the needs of those who have the special additional support. So I am a teacher at heart, and my thing is to share everything that folks need to be their best. So it's really an approach that is ongoing professional development. And so I'm closing the lid, putting the lid back on the can.
Cheryl Baptiste. Write
Yeah.
that down. Okay, that's all.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, do we, at this time, I would entertain a motion on the zoning bill 3025.
Motion to send to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
And a
A
motion.
motion for a favorable and a second. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call vote for me?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Niskoski,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers, Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 3025 will go forward to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Bills 3925 and 4025 were both tabled until the next council meeting.
No, to
August
August 25th.
Oh, August 25th. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction. Both those bills are tabled till August 25th. And with that, then now we will go to Bill 4225. Clerk Toronto, can you please give Bill 4225 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 740 North Brookfield Street, Councilmanic District Number 2 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you. Do we have a committee report on Bill
Yes, Mr. Chair.
4225?
The Zoning Annexation Committee met this afternoon, and we bring Bill 4225 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Will you please address the key points of the bill for us? Thank you.
Absolutely. Good evening again, council members. Mark Delastrito, zoning specialist with the City of South Bend with offices on the 14th floor. Before you is bill number 42-25, a petition by the owner of 740 Brookfield Street to rezone from I industrial to Urban Neighborhood 3 or U3. The petitioner, which is a church on this adjacent industrial parcel here, wishes to rezone the property so that someone can live in the existing detached house on it. And here are a couple pictures of the house as it stands at the moment. Just an overall site plan showing it along Brookfield Street there. Excuse me. The property does fall within the Kennedy Park neighborhood, and in the 2022 neighborhood plan, the future zoning map does show the parcel as industrial. However, there's been a detached house on the property since about 1913, and other residential parcels immediately to the north are also zoned at U3, as you can see here. Additionally, rezoning this parcel and allowing for residential occupancy would achieve two objectives from the city's comprehensive plan. Objective H2, which is to maintain South Bend's housing stock in good condition, and policy H2.3, which specifically identifies the need to support the efforts of community organizations to rehabilitate and repair older homes. So in this case, applying obviously because the owner is a church. And would also align with strategy 3 from the Kennedy Park neighborhood plan, which outlines a desire to develop and preserve housing in the neighborhood, as well as action item 3.1, which specifically says to support the production of a range of housing types, including new construction and rehabilitation of market and affordable units for owner and rental housing. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, just a clarifying point that was brought up in committee, although the residence has been here for over 100 years, in the 2019 rezoning, it was put in as industrial.
Yes, I believe it was carried over as industrial from the previous zoning code. But yes, yeah, the home has been there for around 100 years. So.
All right, thank you. Council members, questions? Okay, at this time, we will go to the public hearing portion of the bill. Members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council, beginning with members in favor of the bill first, limited to 5 minutes, and then going to those against the bill, again, limited to 5 minutes. Are there any members of the public, either in person or online, who wish to speak in favor of Bill 4225?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
This time we'll go to those against. Are there many members of the public against who would like to speak against Bill 4225 at this time, either in person or online?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in opposition of the bill.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring it back to the council. Any comments, questions? If not, I would entertain a motion on zoning bill 4225, rezoning.
I move that we send Bill 42-25 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee,
Aye.
9 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 4225 will go to the full council with a favorable recommendation. Now we will move on to Bill 4325. Clerk Toronto, can you please give Bill 4325 a second reading?
Public hearing on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending section 2-210 of the municipal code pertaining to fees and processes for public records request.
Thank you. Chair Nitzkowski, is there a committee report?
Yes, there is, Chair. This was heard in Personnel and Finance this afternoon and was given no recommendation to the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you. Ms. Throw, I'll turn it over to you to share the key points of the bill. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jenna Throw, City Attorney with offices on the 12th floor of this building. And I'm here to present on Bill number 43-25, which proposes certain updates to section 2-210 of the municipal code. Some of the areas where we're making updates are to include charges for law enforcement recordings, some other updates to the fee schedule, and some clarifications within the ordinance consistent with state law, such as the electronic providing of records, record certification fees, and using records from electronic storage systems for commercial purposes. The first topic regarding law enforcement recordings, the overarching goals with this proposed change is to give requesters the video that they actually need from their request and to more efficiently review the incoming requests. So the changes that are proposed all have those underlying goals in mind. One thing to keep in mind is that the fee schedule only applies when receiving a copy through the Access to Public Record Act process. It does not apply to some of the other opportunities that people have to receive access to video. One key example of that is the inspection process that's provided under state law for anybody who is considered a requester, which is defined by state law and includes categories such as someone who is depicted on a video, someone who the inside of their home is depicted on a video, victims of crimes, or victims of personal injury or property damage. Anyone who falls into one of those categories has the opportunity to inspect video without going through the law enforcement recording fee process. Some other opportunities to receive access to video without the law enforcement recording fees applying are through an attorney's subpoena as part of a lawsuit. through the Community Police Review Board or other similar entity that may work with community members who want access to videos. Some other entities are the prosecutor's office, and the Family Justice Center. I think it skipped forward too early. I apologize. And then also through the criminal case discovery process, since that doesn't go through the APRA process, would also not be subject to the recording fees. And so one of the questions that we've gotten through this process is regarding the volume of recording requests. And so I'll go through and I'll share some different numbers and data that we've gathered. But one important thing to keep in mind with these is that these are individual requests, and any given request may result in the production of as few as 1 videos or as many as maybe, like, there's been requests that call for 30 videos. So since the city started using body cameras in 2018, we've received a total of 611 requests for body cam footage. The annual number of requests has been going up substantially over the past few years. When I ran the average, we were asked for an average number. And when I ran the average since 2020, the average was 103. However, if I look at the average just in the last 3 years, extrapolating the 2025 data as of July through the end of the year at a similar pace, the average jumps to 151. So the number of requests has gone up quite a bit in the last few years. But as far as how those requests break down, in all of the years that I looked at, over 50% of the requests come from some sort of business entity, whether it's media or news, bloggers, attorneys, insurance companies, other types of business requests. Over 50% of the requests in a given year are from business entities like that. And I also looked at, for each year, how many requests by residents might be considered requests from victims, whether it's of a crime, of a personal injury incident, of a property damage incident. And for 2023, that number was 10, 2024 was 12, and 2025 was 11. And so again, all of those folks would have the inspection opportunity available to them. So as I mentioned, one of the goals in this project was to help requesters identify the records that they need. And part of doing that is the request intake process. And we really want to encourage people to make informed requests and help them understand what information, like, are you looking more for something that would be on a body camera recording or for something that would be on a motor vehicle recording? And how can we help you by guiding you through that process? Maybe you just need the recording from the officer who wrote the report rather than 10 officers who all have similar content on their cameras. And so that the intake part is it's not something that's defined by ordinance, but is a big part of the working with people to make sure that everyone is getting the videos that they need and understanding the potential charges. So because the proposed fee schedule is based on actual time to review, if you have a shorter video that doesn't take many redactions, a half hour of review time for a video could be as low as $25. One thing to keep in mind is that per Indiana law regarding public record fees and guidance from the public access counselor, this was a question that also came up in committee, that the fees do need to be uniform for different categories of requesters. The law authorizing these fees was adopted by the Indiana General Assembly several years ago in determining that recovering the direct cost of review was justified for law enforcement recordings. And since that law changed, fee schedules for recordings have been adopted throughout the state. In our research, we were able to locate 6 cities and 5 counties, looking at some of the largest communities in the city, working our way down, with no documented incidents of a city or county outright rejecting a fee
So
schedule.
your slide says 16 cities. You said 6 cities.
Oh, I apologize. I meant to say 16.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. The correct number is 16 cities and 5 counties that we were able to find to date. And the different approaches to fees varies throughout the different municipalities that have adopted these. Some adopt a flat fee approach where no matter how long the video you're requesting is, there's a certain fee that applies. Some are prorated based on video length, and then the approach that we've proposed is based on the actual cost on an hourly rate basis. So a significant portion of the time that's spent reviewing law enforcement recordings is dealing with redactions. And their state law defines what is required to be redacted in a law enforcement recording. And the standards are somewhat different for whether it's a requester or not. And so sometimes with a requester, there may not be as many redactions, but if it's a member of the public that does not qualify as a requester, there's a variety of things that need to be redacted. Confidential information always needs to be redacted, but also if it's for certain requests, there needs to be redaction of juveniles, any dead bodies, serious bodily injury, nudity, personal medical information, or victims or witnesses if it's necessary for safety. And so the redaction process involves downloading the footage once we learn which officers were responding to the call in question, and going through and reviewing all of the footage for a particular call to make sure that none of these items are present in the video. And if they are, to use the redaction software to redact them. Because we're not permitted under state law to release the videos unless they have these redactions. And currently, the members of our team who are most involved in the review of law enforcement recordings estimate that 18 hours per week is dedicated to that review. And the volume is so significant that it could be quite a bit more. So as far as where the fees for the recordings are directed, that is another item that's defined by state law. And the fees that are collected for law enforcement recordings go back to being used to support the body camera program, whether to purchase cameras or other equipment, for training, or to defray the expenses of storing, producing, and copying law enforcement recordings. Some of the other areas that are being updated in this proposed ordinance are to incorporate the fee schedule as a separate document. This change was proposed to try to streamline the any future updates that might be requested. Changes always need to be approved by the Common Council, but rather than always making changes in the municipal code, felt that having the fee schedule as a separate attachment would streamline the process. We also incorporated a clarification regarding electronic records to clarify that for the sorts of paper records that are typically responded to by email, that requesters are not charged for records provided electronically unless provided elsewhere by law, and helps to clarify that the fees in the ordinance only apply to hard copies, which is often the case if the record is too voluminous or has a high amount of data to where it cannot be provided electronically. The next area of update was regarding record certification fees. The ordinance did not previously specify that cost for certifying a record, where those funds would be directed. And so we added a clarification that the fee for certifying a record would be directed to the same fund as the fee for the original copies. The next topic is related to the use of records from electronic data storage systems. And this is a provision of Indiana law that we are authorized to adopt in our ordinance. This pertains to requests that may request all data from a particular system that the city uses. And it allows us to prohibit the use of that data for commercial purposes. But the use for news or nonprofit activities or research is not prohibited. If records are used in violation of this provision, we're able to prevent a requester from obtaining future data sets in that manner. And then the next topic was other updates to the fee schedule. We've talked about the update regarding law enforcement recordings, but other more minor updates included decreasing the cost of fingerprinting services, renaming arson reports to fire investigation reports, striking some line items that are no longer used, slight adjustments to the page cost for documents that aren't provided under the public records law, and modification for no trespass signs to reflect that there's only one size sign.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I know we also have Deputy City Attorney O'Connell online. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Nothing further at this point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to start with council members that weren't in the committee this afternoon first. For questions, Council Member Holden Simpson.
Okay, thank you. I was here, but I didn't ask any questions, trying to move it along. I have a question about the requester. When they're inspecting, you did say that there are some things that always have to be redacted, like minors, nudity, social security number, if that was up. So you'd still tell me, you would still have to pay the $50 an hour for the redaction, would you not?
When someone is coming to inspect a video under the requester inspection statute, that's different than getting a copy of the record. And so the folks that are coming to just inspect the record, that is not charged the $50 an hour. It's the fee schedule only applies if someone receives a copy of the record. And so that's one of the things that we want to make sure that we're working with people on. If they qualify as a requester, that they may have the ability to inspect the record instead of receiving a copy.
So they can, so even if there's a naked body, that won't be redacted. They can see that.
The redactions under that are mandatory public record exceptions, like confidential information, those are always redacted for, under state law, those are always required to be redacted for requesters.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
I know those are just 3 examples. So you have to do a redaction if there's a minor, naked bodies, brutal stab marks or stabbings or something like that. I need to help me with my understanding. Will be no charging for that?
There's no charge for the inspection process. So the inspection statute was passed also in 2016, around the same time as the law enforcement recording fee. And so it does appear that that was likely added to the law to give a no cost or a no additional cost option, given that at the same time, the legislature allowed for this $150 per recording fee schedule to be in place. When someone meets that requester definition, the legislature gave us this inspection option that is not subject to those law enforcement recording fees. They just, a person who qualifies for that the video still has to be redacted, but because they're either in the video, their home is in the video, or they're a victim of something that happened in the video, they're given the opportunity to view the video. But it's when they receive a copy that the fees apply.
I certainly wouldn't want somebody to see me laying down naked somewhere. And I work out. Could I have one?
Sure, it's still redacted. There's just no fee because you're viewing it. but,
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
all
It would
right.
still be,
I did
Say
miss
Troy.
that. I did miss that.
Okay.
Okay, one more question, if I
One more
may.
question.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Qualifying as a requester, I'm a little leery on, and I've asked this question, but I want you to answer it. I'm like, who designates that status? And can you think of I know there's a state statute, but there's always a gray area. Somebody might feel that they are a requester. For example, I have some citizens in the 5th district that has a problem. They have a problem property, and that might be something that happens on their street, and they might think, well, I am a person that needs to see this, and what if you disagree and say, no, you're not a requester?
So the statute provides the guidance there. A requester can be an individual depicted in a recording. Or if they're deceased, certain family members are put in that place, or a personal representative. An owner, tenant, lessee, or occupant of real property, if the interior of the property is shown in the recording. Or a person who is the victim of a crime or suffers a loss due to personal injury or property damage, if the events in the reporting are relevant to the loss or the crime. And so those are the standards that would govern that decision.
Of course, we don't know until it comes up the gray area, but thank you
Sure.
for your
You're very welcome.
responses.
Well, Councilmember McBride.
Thank you. Yes, I had a number of questions over the past couple of weeks, so thank you for taking the time to respond and for more dialogue. I still have some questions, but we've had lengthy discussions about them. But some of the concerns or questions that I still had was asking how many like repeat requesters, if you will, had requested the information. Like, are we getting the same people, for instance, that's asking to make that 150 average drive that versus residents? So, and I know I have a limited amount of time, but those were some of the biggest questions that I had was who's asking for the videos and what financial impact was it having the effects with the community. So that was my concern. And I know there was some question about only charging one time. So the first person who asked, if you will, may pay up to $150. And then if someone else asks for the same video, that cost, since you can't charge twice, is at no cost to the second person who asked, because the time have already been put into it and to provide the video or whatever the footage was. So I just wanted more clarification, and I think that was answered, but I think I would like for you to clarify for the members of the public.
Absolutely. So as far as the first part of your question regarding the different categories of people requesting, you know, we talked a little bit in committee about the fact that there are some common requesters, and some of that is by nature of the business. Like there may be like local entities that are businesses, but that will be requesting just because it's part of their business to need records. And we do see those come up, or requests from different entities come up multiple times for different recordings. But that's just the nature of that they're a local business and would need records from us in multiple instances. To the other part of your question about the only charging once, I know Kylie spoke on that a bit too in committee where it's because it's based on the work involved. The work of the redactions is happening to produce that first copy. And so the next person who asks for a copy, we already have the redactions done. And so all the only work that needs to be done is to make another copy of the video that's already been reviewed and redacted. So there's no real additional work, just the incremental administrative copying of the initial recording. And so that was, I believe, the rationale that Kylie helped explain as far as the initial request is the one that is charged. And I think I mentioned too that was also something that I discussed with the former public access counselor prior to putting this ordinance forward to the council.
Thank you. And I think the last part of that, Chair, if you will, was the question of the cost being shifted to like residents, if you will, because businesses, if I heard you correctly, is requesting over 50% of all of the videos that may be redacted. And I understand also you could have one person ask for one video, person may ask up to 20 videos, depending on the extenuating circumstance. So I understand attorneys paying, businesses paying, media paying, but some of the question that I had, and I'm sure a lot of the members of the community have also, is the burden that the $150 may have on the community. So if you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also where the background work of the intake process is, it really comes into play with individuals and the recordings that individuals are looking for. It will be relatively common when we get a business request for the business, whether it's a media or blogging business or an attorney or insurance company business, to want all of the recordings. With an individual who may be more cost conscious, well, we can look at things like, do you qualify as a requester? Or is there a way that we can help you narrow down your search? Do you want to start with the officer who wrote the report and see if that gives you what you're looking for? And if not, then we're happy to engage in that dialogue again. But that's where the intake process comes in, to make sure that people are getting the records that they need in the most cost-effective way, given the fee schedule. And also, if somebody if somebody qualifies as a requester, that the inspection process is also available.
Thank you. I'll yield. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna.
Questions, Councilmember Gooden. Yeah, Deputy.
Sorry,
Attorney
Council,
Connell.
if I may also comment on that last question. I think it's a good reminder as well that the requesters, they don't always necessarily have to go through the APRA process to get access to video. For example, they can, if they're a victim, they might be able to watch video. They might be able to maybe not get a copy of it, but at least review things with the prosecutor's office or the Family Justice Center. There's also an option with Internal Affairs. I'll give kind of a broad, or not broad, but for privacy, I don't want to go into details, but I know Internal Affairs has met with family members of loved ones who have passed away, and they've watched video for closure. They're, again, not getting a copy of it. They don't want it to go home with them, but they're able to view and get that closure that they're looking for in a situation. So APRA isn't always the best way to get these situations resolved. Sometimes it needs something else, and APRA isn't really the best avenue, because just requesting it isn't really going to give you necessarily that closure that you're looking for or that victim help that you're looking for. And that's where we're trying to make sure that people are going in the right avenues to get the proper actual resolution of what they're looking for.
Thank you. Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Yes, yes, I have a question. So tonight I got into a fight, and I want to go back and look at this. What makes me a requester besides being a victim? So if I wasn't a victim, what makes me a requester if I just want to be nosy? So what's going to determine a requester?
So in the example that you gave, if there was a police response and you were depicted on the police response, you would be a requester.
But what if I'm not? That's what I'm asking.
So if there's a situation where there's someone who just wants a video of an incident that they were not part of, or their property wasn't part of it, or they were not a victim of a crime or property damage or personal injury, then they would not fall into that requester category. That would be to get a copy would be if they wanted to go through the APRA process, the fee schedule would apply. And if there wasn't like a victim status or something along those lines, we could always work with a person to make sure that they're getting the video views that they wanted. But if someone wasn't in the video or a victim of a crime or property damage or personal injury, then the requester status would not apply.
So I wouldn't be able to just come in and watch the video, since I know that I don't have to pay for it the first time to see it, and I'm not requesting a copy. More or less, I'm just being nosy. Okay, so I just want to know. So can Sherry just come in and see what happened over on my street, and this doesn't pertain to her at all?
Those types of requests would not be covered by the requester statute, so they would not be able to come inspect the video. That process is only available for someone who qualifies as a requester. And like when I looked at the fact that that statute was passed at the same time as the ability to pass fees, I think that was an intentional decision by the legislature to provide an option that did not result in having to pay for a copy. So, but in the situation of that you gave of just a nosy neighbor or something, or a nosy third party, that would fall into the fee schedule.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Lee.
Yes, thank you, Jenna, for all the many emails of many questions that we all had, and for being able to give us the answers. There's the thought that this is meant to disenfranchise poor people. How do you address that?
And so I think, thank you so much for raising that, because that's the opposite of what we want to achieve with this change. And to the answer that Kylie gave a few moments ago about the different options that people have to obtain access to see a video that they may need for something that's going on in their lives, like that is something that we take really seriously. And so that's where the intake process comes in, the availability of these other options. People don't necessarily always know that the inspection process is available, but all of these options would not involve paying for the law enforcement recording fee. And we did find in reviewing the data that residents who would be classified as victims of something compose a fairly small amount of the annual requests that we receive. And those requests would be able to be diverted into obtaining the records another way besides paying for a copy.
Okay. And then you don't provide any of the videos via email, correct?
That's correct. Due to file size, video law enforcement recordings are always provided in hard copy.
Okay. And one last question, that whole question about the first person who has to pay up to $150, and then the second person that comes, they don't have to pay for it. But if they wanted a hard copy, they would have to pay for that hard copy, correct?
The second person would have to pay for the disc, but they would not be subject to the law enforcement recording fees. And that, I think Kylie spoke on that a little bit at committee, or maybe in her public hearing remarks, that's because the fees are based on the actual time involved in producing the copy. The first time we make a copy, that's where all of the effort happens in doing the review and redactions. If person B comes in and requests the exact same camera view, and we've already done the redactions, and so there's no additional time to charge for, they would just be charged the cost of the disc the way it is now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenna, could you just staying on this point? I'd like you to say a little bit more from the years that we've been reviewing video. How often does that occur? That actually there are exact same requests for the exact same content?
It doesn't come up very often, especially for individual requests. It comes up most often with if there's an incident that happens in the community and there may be multiple companies that are interested in the footage. But I would say that very rarely happens with individuals. And if it does, sometimes a person asks for a recording and maybe their insurance company or their lawyer has already asked for a recording.
And my second question is, we know that redacting videos, reviewing, the production of them are very labor intensive. And so the fees themselves don't recoup all the costs necessarily. But state statute dictates where the funds go. And so I guess just trying to understand that better. That's not something that we determine where the money is going, and that's being determined by state statute.
Right. The slide that I had, let's see if I can jump back to it real quick. The different categories of expenses that are eligible, that the fees can be directed to. Let's see. I think we're back. This one. Those three categories are pulled directly from Indiana Code 5-14-3-8 subsection L. And that was why in the proposed ordinance, we included the direction of those fees to the law enforcement training fund because it seemed like the best fit for these categories.
So it does defray the expenses of producing and copying law enforcement recordings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member White?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Thank you as well. During the committee meeting, I asked a number of questions and and based on your slide presentation, is anywhere that we can get copies of that?
Absolutely.
And be sent to the clerk's office, and if that could be, excuse me, placed on our web page as well. I think that there is a need to, just based on the questions that's coming from council members, some clarification in regards to the intake process and definitions and things like that. I think it would help clarify a lot of these questions and the processes as well.
Sure. And as far as the intake process, I think that would be a little bit more in depth than it is now, because right now there's no additional charge for copies. So we would really want to be, once we determine how many responsive videos there are to a request, and that's something that the legal department determines once we get the underlying information from the police department. We go in and we see how many responsive videos there are. And then that's when we can have the dialogue with the person making the request. Okay, we've come up with 5 videos for your request. Do you want to start with the one from the officer who wrote your report, or this is what a body cam will show versus what a motor vehicle recording will show? Do you have a preference as to which one you receive? And having conversations like that to make sure that people are getting exactly what they're looking for.
But I think the clarification, even as you can tell from the council members, and one, you don't need an Apple request, other you do. So those are kinds of areas, if we can have clear clarification, and then we can share that information.
Absolutely.
With our citizens as well.
Absolutely. I wrote down.
And I'll see the rest of my questions.
I wrote down to make sure I send a copy of the presentation.
Thank you. Councilmember Nitzgotsky.
Thank you, Chair. Could you talk a little bit about the Community Police Review Board
Sure.
and how that is how that request is handled?
So those would not go through APRA. That was a question that came up during our informational meeting. And so I went back to clarify that in between the informational meeting and the meetings tonight and confirmed that a request for body cam footage for the CPRB would not even go through APRA. So it would not be subject to this fee schedule.
And then my second, and who is able to view that, I guess? I should have tied that in. So it can be requested and then it gets reviewed for them to make a decision on whatever may be in front of them. Okay. My other question is, how close is this ordinance to what the county passed? Because I know that was passed. I can't remember if it was unanimously, but I believe that it was unanimously with most of the other communities. I think you said 16. I should have you read those because I can't remember all of them again.
Absolutely.
So I guess that's my question, just for clarification on the other cities that did pass those. Nobody has denied this. It's come before a municipality. And just how close is this with the county? With what they passed?
So that is correct. We were not able to find any municipalities that denied that rejected such an ordinance with a fee schedule. The main difference between the proposed ordinance here and what the county has is that the county kind of uses a step-up process with a certain charge per each additional half hour. And ours is very similar to that, but it's just a per hour charge, and whatever length of time is spent reviewing a video, it would be that amount of time times the hourly rate. And so it amounts to pretty similar fees. It's just slightly different approaches to get there.
But the ordinance is pretty close to the same.
It is similar in that the $150 cap is also reached at 210 minutes. And jumps about $20 for every half hour after the first half hour.
Okay, thank you. And appreciate all the work that you've done to answer all of our questions. I know it's been a lot the last couple of weeks. I appreciate it.
And I think you had also asked about the different communities that have fees.
Yes.
So I can go through that. Columbus, Evansville, Fishers, Fort Wayne, Franklin, Gary, Greenwood, Hammond, Kokomo, Lafayette, Lawrence, Muncie, Portage, Terre Haute, West Lafayette, Westfield. And then as far as counties, Bartholomew, Lake, Marion, St. Joseph, and Tippecanoe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to give a historical, I would like to ask a historical question. 2012, we've been here in our city of South Bend, started off with the police tapes, which inspired those of us in 2014 to come up with a body camera ordinance, which was passed in 2014, December. The chief became the chief in, I believe, 2015, somewhere in there. The state passed this in 2016, this current one. We had the situation of Eric Logan, and before that, we started our body cameras in 2018. We had the situation of Eric Logan in 2019, and that takes us around to up to today in 2025. So that says that from 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24, there's been no request from the police department or the legal department in the 7 budget hearings, while other cities, like you've just mentioned, Fort Wayne changed to $30, but in 7 annual budget requests, we did not have one request coming from the police department or your department asking for, saying to us that we needed any funds to help with the extra fees, the copying, anything like that. And all of a sudden, right before budget season here in 2025, when all the other departments are about to present, including you and the chief there, will be presenting your budgets. And you present it, then we have 2 months. I say 2 months after y'all present in August, we'll make that final decision in October. Okay, we literally have 8 weeks or so to make that decision. And here we've been asked 2 weeks. 2 weeks to make this decision. What made you all not put this in your budget request? And for others over 7 years have done that. Why did you separate from the budget request to now? That's my first question.
I can take this one. My name is Sandra Kennedy. I'm the Corporation Counsel for the City of South Bend. We've been working on this for 2 years. In fact, the person who was working on this was the APRA attorney. That's all she did. She did that for 5 years. So when I became Corporation Counsel in 2021, I thought this is a person who needs to do more. Watching videos or looking at APRAs day in, day out, looking at dead bodies, looking at victims of dog bites. That's a horrendous thing to have to do. One person to do this all the time. She told me about this ordinance or about the statute in 2021. Before that, I didn't know about it. And she had talked to people in the county. She had talked to other people. So she was going to work on it starting in 2021. She'd been so backlogged with APRAs because she's the main person who still does our APRAs that she could never get to it. Fast forward to 2023 when Aladine DeRose retired as the city attorney. It was a part-time position. Jenna was hired as the city attorney, full-time position. We asked her then to start working on our very outdated ordinances, some of them dating back to 1962. I know you all know about this because she's been bringing them to you pretty routinely since the start of this year, but she's been working on this for the last 2 years. That's why it hasn't been brought, because she's been talking to the public access counselor. She's been doing all this research, going and looking at what other cities do, what other counties do. She's been working on it to bring you the best bill possible so that we're not cheating anybody. We're just trying to get people to, instead of asking for any and all videos of a certain event, to try to tell us what you would like to see. Because I can tell you this, I have looked at some body camera footage. I have tried to redact it. The people who are saying it takes 3 times the length of the video to redact, those are people who have done it so often. They do it very well, very quickly, very efficiently. For me, doing the same videos, it would probably take 6 to 10 times as long, because I'm just not very good at it. So any video you give me would more likely than not be a $150 charge. So these are people who are doing a very good job at it. The reason we've never brought this to any asking to defray these costs is it is a part of our salary. We do these things. The other alternative we have is to go through, we're allowed to do this. We can say this does not benefit the public to release this video. We would rather err on transparency. In 2012, that's what Mayor Pete wanted to do. He wanted to be more transparent. That's why we do send out most things that people ask for, not for open investigations, not for anything we can't, but we look for it. We do. The people who work on my team, they will look for things. They won't just say, oh no, it's not there, so we don't have it. We actually look. Sometimes it takes longer because we're looking. We get responses back from departments saying they don't have it, and we say, well, I'm pretty sure it exists, so why don't you look again? And they do, or we look. So that's why we haven't come to you. We've been working on it for 2 years. We would have, had we come 2 years ago, would there be this outcry? You're saying it's part of the budget. The budget's coming in 2 months. You asked us to reduce our budgets by 5%. For me, most of my budget, as you know, is salaries. One of the ways that I can reduce my budget is to reduce it by people. I don't have any more people to come and do this. I don't have the people. I don't have the manpower. We're doing a lot of things in the city, and the lady who takes 18 hours to look at body camera footage or dash cam footage or whatever, she also is our Department of Community Investment attorney. She is overwhelmed. She is underwater. People who try to help her, I mean, they go underwater too. So The reason we haven't come is we've been working on it, A, and B, we're just trying to keep doing our jobs. And so we're struggling underwater, asking for help at this time. And all I'm hearing is it's going to hurt people. It's not meant to hurt people. And so I'm sorry if that's what's coming across to everybody in this room.
I still have one more question, but I appreciate what you just shared. I just would like to address what you just shared, and then I ask my second question. Your argument you just shared is the exact reason why I think it should have come up in a budget meeting, because the funds from this do not affect any of those hardworking people that you just said. It doesn't help not one penny of their salary. It doesn't help any of that. And that should have been, in my history of being here, I have never worked to cut any terms. If people have asked that question, when it came from the police budget is going up from 28 million now to 55, whatever it is. I've been on police negotiations and always gave them money they needed. So the hardworking thing, I truly believe in. And that's why I said it should come there and these funds should come out of the budget, not here. So that's my response to your thing. Okay, now my second question comes in here. When we think about the flock safety issue that I mentioned, we have flock safety issues. We talked about double fees, and we even talked about electronic fees. In reading this bill, it stated this, and this is what was interesting in the question. It said, let me get it to you. In the third page of Bill 4325, Section B, and B says, no fee for electronic copies of records, except where a certification copy search fee is specified by statute or court order. This bill establishes, what we're talking about now, will establish a search fee for police body cameras. The police department, and we know all the fees that you always said. So at this present time, when people ask for electronic copies, or when they ask for other things, it says that there is no fee. The only thing that they will be talking about presently is the disc, the $9 disc. But because we have not, as a city, established a search fee. But according to the exact same ordinance that we are asking for, we are about to establish a search fee. This is what we are doing here. And Fort Wayne did theirs as 30. In terms of the cities, of counties, there are 92 counties in the state of Indiana. I wanted you said 5. So that means 87 of the 92 counties we haven't heard from. That's 95% of the counties. 95% of, you only mentioned 5. We have not heard from 95% of our counties. And there are 569 municipalities, 289 townships, 280 cities. We've heard from 16. Okay.
You have a question, Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir. My question is this.
I'd like to hold debate till after the public hearing portion.
So my question is, does this search fee, according to this, it says this, is this correct? Except when a search fee is specified by the statute or court order. Does this search fee, according to what you read, when we put it here, doesn't that also apply to the electronic fee?
So Section B of the ordinance applies to electronic records that are provided by electronic mail. And I think a question came up earlier regarding the providing records electronically, and that some records are not able to be provided by electronic mail due to file size. And recordings have always fallen into that category. That's why they're provided by disk instead of over email like documents are. And so Section B would not apply for law enforcement recordings because they're not provided by email.
So Section B are we the only ones that don't provide them by email, or the Section B will not? I'd like to get some clarification on that, because of the fact that that search fee seems to be in the same ordinance. And isn't this a search fee?
It's the fee that's allowed by state law for the direct costs involved in producing a law enforcement recording.
Which is called a search fee.
The legislature refers to it as the recovery of direct costs for the review and redaction required to produce a law enforcement recording. And because they're not provided by electronic mail, that Section B would not apply to law enforcement recordings.
Interesting.
But thank you so much for your question.
Okay.
I just got it. I want to make sure I understand something about the fees go to the body camera program, but it's the legal department that's doing the heavy lifting. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. As the, I mentioned with the intake process, part of the goal of the intake process is to help people refine their requests. As Corporation Counsel Kennedy mentioned, often people request all videos from a particular incident. And if we work with them to see, do you want to start with maybe the officer who wrote the report? Are you looking for more body worn camera footage or motor vehicle recording footage to help people narrow down those requests? That does take burden off of the legal department. If somebody reduces a 20 video request down to a smaller number. And so while the fees are directed to the body camera program per statute, the intake process does help alleviate that burden and help us get responses to requests out more efficiently.
I'm all for paying people for what they do, and I'm concerned that it doesn't seem like this is helping people get paid for what they're doing.
Mr. Chair, just point of order. Our attorney said that she was going to get back to me regarding the flock fee. And I wanted to know, well, I'm setting a fee, whether it's this kind of a fee, how will that impact the whole area of the flock safety?
Thank you for bringing that up. I did submit by email after the committee meeting some clarification on that point, that the definition of law enforcement recordings would govern any requests that are received regarding flock or photos. And so those aren't even videos that would go through this analysis. But in the event that there were ever videos responsive to those types of requests, we would look at the definition of a law enforcement recording, and if there needed to be determined on a case-by-case basis, but it did not seem like that would qualify as a law enforcement recording at that time. But in the future, if there were videos or videos from other sources that we needed to go through this analysis for, we would look at the definition of law enforcement recording and go from there.
And thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
And I would love for our attorney to help me to follow up on that and give me some more understanding of that, because when I look at the issue here that goes with our own police records regarding that, it seems to have some fuzziness in that area. So I would love for, I yield to my counsel, if you could send us some more information. I'd love to get some more information regarding the flock thing, because that's huge regarding cameras.
I'm sure Chief would love to have coffee with you and talk about flock.
Well, I think the public would love to have understanding of that more than in my coffee. I think the public wants to know that, but I'm not a coffee drinker like that.
Sure, thank you. So at this time, we will go to the public hearing portion. Members of the public shall have the opportunity to address the council, beginning with members in the public in favor, each limited to 5 minutes, and then going on to members of the public against, with each limited to 5 minutes. And the total time for those speaking against shall not be exceeded by the time used by the members who spoke in favor of the bill, or 30 minutes, whichever is greater. Each member of the public shall state his or her name and residential address. Attorney Palmer, can you please keep time for us, please? Thank you. At this time, are there any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of Bill 4325?
I do not see any members of the public in person or online wishing to speak. Oh, I'm sorry. I have Ms. Kylie wishing to speak in favor online. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Thank you. Kylie Connell, Assistant City Attorney with offices at 701 West Sample Street. I work with the police department as their attorney, and I also work with the legal department on other various aspects of departments. I'm just raising a few answers to questions that I have some knowledge on. Search fees are specified in the Indiana statute. It's typically for searches that are over a certain amount of time, such as 2 hours. The city of South Bend has never implemented any kind of search fee I would think that if we ever did do a search fee, it would be spelled out in this schedule, this fee schedule that's required to be submitted to the council. That's not spelled out, so we don't currently have a search fee, and we don't intend on having a search fee at this time. Electronic mail is just not really feasible in terms of the file sizes of these videos. There certainly are other ways to do electronic sending and sharing of files, but file sizes are very large, and having to download, upload, download again, send out, keep it in a secure network, and make sure that it's protected and safe, that people can access it. It's just been a better process to put it on a disk or some kind of drive for them to have. In regards to the CPRB, the main person there, Pastor King, does have access to videos with internal affairs, and he can view those records. He does not get a copy at this time, and the board has not yet been given unlimited access. And there hasn't been a situation yet where the board has needed to view or run that further question of viewing records. We would not charge the board if they ever did view body cam records or MVR, but I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding. It's not like there's an open pathway that we just turn over all these records to them without redactions. That's not accurate. So it still goes through a review process if and when it's going to get turned over to the CPRB. But we would never charge that board or any other board within the city. There's actually other boards that ask for these records as well, such as the Civil Rights Commission. They have records that they've requested that we've filled out and submitted to them. There's other departments that I could see who would request records of this nature. This bill is important, and it's important to update our fee schedule. And I don't see it as a burden to those who actually need these records. As has already been mentioned, if someone truly needs something, the police department is going to work with them outside of the APRA process. They don't need to go through the APRA process. There will be another resource for them to use. If it's somebody who truly wants the record, I don't think it's unreasonable for them to have to pay for that. You have to pay for medical records when you go to your doctor. You have to pay for any kind of fees that you are going to engage at the library. They charge for printing, color, copy. There are fees involved when you get something back from anywhere. And this is not an exorbitant fee. It's not anything that's beyond unreasonable. It's what's set by the state statute. And we're just asking that the citizens be knowledgeable about what they're asking for. I've had body cam review where 25 videos were requested, and the person probably showed up in 2 of the videos maybe, and the other 23 videos had nothing to do with the requester, and had nothing, it was people, officers who were around the scene but involved with other situations. It was a large crowd situation. So did that requester really need all 25? Probably not. And if they had got the request for the case first and looked at who was in the case and who were the responding officers that dealt with them personally, they could have narrowed it down, and it would have taken them just a few minutes versus taking somebody else in our department hours and hours of time to review video. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. We really just want to help people narrow it down so that you're not making these broad requests for anything and everything because you want to be nosy about what happened. Narrow your request, tailor it down, and then be willing to pay the fee as a part of the process and engage with us in that. So I do ask that the council members vote in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Point of information.
Thank you, Deputy
Point
Connell.
Point of information.
Dr. Davis.
The point of information is the gentlewoman that just spoke there, and the chief who looks like he's about to are not part of the public. They are part of staff. And so this is a public hearing for the staff. Isn't it correct that they should have been a part of their presentation, and they are not a part of that, or are they speaking? If they're speaking as a part of their own duties, isn't that not necessarily in the public hearing? Because they, in the sense, even though all of us could go down there and speak in public, they are not a part of the public. They are part of the staff, and that should have been put in the staff presentation. And is that correct, sir? Or are we or can all the administration just on paid staff go and speak on behalf of that? Is that what, are we looking at that?
No, you are correct.
Pardon me?
You are correct, yeah. So,
Thank you.
they wrapped up before Ms. Connell spoke, so I will ask Chief to hold off, and the administration will have a rebuttal after public hearing. So are there any other members of the public wishing to speak in favor?
I do not see any other members of the public in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Thank you. This time, then we'll go to members of the public wishing to speak against the bill. Please provide your name and address. Thank you.
Yes, can you hear me?
We're going to start in person first, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Sue Kessom, 4022 Kennedy Drive. When I was doing some calculations, 18 hours, let's say the clerk's 25, 450 a week, 52. So it looks like it's under $50,000. If there's no fee charged, I can see a nominal fee. 150 seems excessive. I also think that from what I've seen at AI, because I study with MIT, the videos, the AI coming online will be able to actually do a lot of the redaction, and then a human will just have to review it. So I think with AI, the costs will come down. People having to look at horrible things will hopefully be minimized more. AI can go through videos, create transcripts. AI can then take those transcripts, find the exact date, time, and incident. It can do facial recognition to look for the particular person that's being a respondent, or however you want to say it, part of the incident. So I think we need to also consider what's on the horizon, and AI will drastically change that. I am against 150. I think that's excessive, especially when it's, according to my calculations, only $50,000 cost to the administration. So I think it's nice that any fees do go towards the South Bend PD to upgrade cameras. I think that's great. So I think looking at the actual dollar amounts would help, and then looking at how AI can really change the whole dynamic of what we're looking at would be also excellent. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Linda Bryant, White Maple Court, South Bend, Indiana. And I just have a couple of things. I don't understand, as Councilman Davis was saying, why all of a sudden this has become an issue. Why is it now a burden and it hasn't been a burden up until this point? Why are there so many more requests now than there have ever been? What's going on with that? And I also would like to know how much money the city is expecting to recover from the fees that they're scheduling. Does anybody have a dollar amount on how much they think that the city is actually going to make off of these fees? And the $150 first person in kind of has to bear the burden of that. I almost feel that in a way that is discouraging citizens to rush in there and get footage that they might need, because they don't have $150 to apply to that. They might have the lower rate on the totem pole, but it's possible they don't have the $150. So I think that's a taxpayer burden that, you might want to take a look at too. And I'm really hoping that you say no to this bill. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Peggy Foster, and my business address is 3210 Sugar Maple Business Court, South Bend. I'm here to express my strong opposition to Ordinance 4325. As a resident of South Bend's 1st District, I respectfully urge my council members, Kenneth Lee, Rachel Thomas Morgan, Karen White, and Oliver Davis to vote against ordinance 4325. I want to thank you for your attention to this matter. Yes, that's all I'll say. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name's Tim Cotton. Address is 63808 State Road 23 in North Liberty. I serve as the chair for the St. Joseph Libertarian Party and the District 2 chair for the Libertarian Party of Indiana. I think there's some good items that's in this ordinance for some of the fee scheduling, but for the large part, I think we're missing the mark. So I'm here tonight to urge you to vote no on this ordinance, or at least amend it to removing the excessive fees and restrictions tied to the body cam worn footage. So this ordinance puts a price tag on transparency, and that's a dangerous precedent for any level of government. We're told this is about a cost recovery and the people can still view body cam footage for free at the police department, but that's not real access. That's still controlled access. If someone wants a copy of the footage, whether they're a journalist, a legal advocate, or a citizen who believes they were wrongfully detained, they can still be charged up to that $150 per video. If there's 3 officers, you can see how that multiplies, very quickly. But these are records that are already paid through taxes. That's not accountability, that's deterrence to the public seeking information. Indiana law does allow some limited cost recovery for this police footage, but that doesn't mean that you have to charge the maximum amount. Burning a disc costs a lot less than $10, charging $150 per video. That's not a fair fee. That's a financial barrier designed to discourage oversight and discouraging people to be that first one that shows up to request information. Even the South Bend Tribune editorial board, hardly a libertarian outlet, said this ordinance defeats the main purpose of body cams, and they're right. Body cams were sold to the public as tools to build trust and to ensure accountability, not as a new source of revenue. This ordinance also restricts the use of public data for commercial purposes. This is vague, unnecessary, and opens the door to selective enforcement. Public records are public. It does not matter who asks for them or why. Now, I know budgets are tight, but South Bend has money for downtown redevelopment, marketing campaigns, and real estate projects. So let's not pretend that we can't afford basic transparency. We should be addressing this as a budget item. At the end of the day, this is a transparency tax, plain and simple, and it sends the wrong message to the people of South Bend and St. Joseph County. So what I'm asking you to do is the right thing. You got 2 options. You can either vote no on the ordinance 43-25 or amend it to eliminate the excessive video fees, remove the vague commercial use ban, and keep any fee changes under a full public and council oversight. Because the people of South Bend already paid for the cameras. They already paid for the staff. They shouldn't have to pay again just to see what is being done in their name. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Akachi Okereke. I live at 230 East Calvert Street, South Bend. Looking at this, I thought this is not wise under any circumstances. This is a very unwise thing. It seems to me, especially after hearing what Sandy said, that she might be traumatized by seeing all those videos, and she is not thinking in a particularly clear-headed or rational way about this situation. This should totally be a budget item. This should, under no circumstances should it all be something that we would even consider charging the public for. This should just simply, honestly, be relatively easily accessed. And to some extent, I question whether or not compression software couldn't be used to shrink the size of these videos to make them emailable, or whether or not even the format under which the videos are made, are they being sent by MP4s or AVIs? These are data concerns that would shrink the size of it? Is there, are they sending it through standard definition, through ultra high definition? These are all questions that a person who understands data can ask. But she didn't reference any of these things. She just kind of glossed over them, was like, we tried, it didn't work. What does that mean? You didn't tell us any details. This wasn't in the budget item. They didn't mention these things. And from what I can tell, it seems like this is really an attempt at restricting access to information that most people may not even, like, you're probably not even going to know that a person even got beat up by the officers, by the police. If this happened, unless they're talking about it on the news, you're probably not going to hear about it. And if the news doesn't talk about it and and you just hear it as a sideways thing, now you want to get the information, but you have to go directly.
Tonight, I come before you with strong opposition to Ordinance 4325. Ordinance 4325, simply put, is a tax on transparency and a barrier. Thomas Morgan voted no to an ordinance because residents contacted her asking her to vote no. So, council members, prior to this meeting, you have all received emails asking you to vote no and have now heard in person the opinions of those asking you to vote no to 4325. Do you represent your constituents or do you represent the mayor?
Henry Davis Jr., 5117 Idlewood Drive. I came because I worked for many years on police reform. That's the reason why we do talk about body cameras here. That's the reason why you do talk about a citizens review board. There were some other things that took place as well during that time, but those are two of the biggest things that I can like hang my hat on. His position as council members, I think you've been put between a rock and a hard place, to be completely honest with you. Our Democratic mayor should be celebrating the fact that South Bend, Indiana has met, not taxing it. You guys should be celebrating that as well. Police reform went across the entire country. You should be celebrating it. You really should be. A state, so you can kind of understand what goes on, right? So, it's a municipal government. It's a service-oriented, driven organization. That means that you do not have to make a profit. That's what that means. Yes, you have a budget, but that budget, you know, is projected. So you have an opportunity to have some wiggle room, some move around room when it comes to things like this. You're just not here to make money. You're here to satisfy the taxpayers. I'm going to say this as a solution. You're currently in budgeting, and I agree with Dr. Davis. Just roll it over into budgeting, right? Make this a part of budgeting, create another position, right? And problem solved. If folks are signing up to do whatever job within a law office or the police department, well, that's the job that they signed up for. If you don't like it, they have other jobs in other places you can take on. Don't make it us so bad because the work here is heavy. It is heavy. You signed up for the heavy work. You're getting paid for the heavy work. My MBA also says this is bad management. This is terrible management. You don't go in and take over a situation and add fees to it and then say that we're serving the public. You don't do that. You create another position. You make it very easy and simple for the other folks to participate. My last thing, and this is probably going to sting, for the last time and the first time in South Bend history, you have 6 Black elected officials. You have to know what our history is when it comes to the police. You have to know it. From slavery all the way to current day. We need you guys to do something for us. We really do. If that is denying it, great. You have the ability, you have 6. If it's not denying it, roll it over into the budget process and figure this out and get it done in a better way. But for the first time, we have 6. You're veto proof. Exercise your authority. Thank you, and God bless you.
Trina Robinson, NAACP President, 914 Lincoln Way West. I had something written down, but after hearing comments, I'm going to be all over the place, so please bear with me. I stand here tonight in opposition of Ordinance 4325. Police cameras help enhance transparency and accountability, improve public safety, and aid in investigations. Charging a fee for camera footage up to $150 per video of an incident hinders transparency and accountability and erodes public trust in the South Bend Police Department, as it may be perceived as a tactic to hide information or make it difficult for public to scrutinize police actions. High fees can be prohibitive for individuals from marginalized communities who may not have the financial resources to pay for footage access, exacerbating existing disparities access to information and justice. A prime example would be someone who wanted to represent themselves in court. Charging fees for records that are often seen as public resources can give the impression that the South Bend Police Department and others prioritize revenue generation over transparency and accountability. Additionally, I would like to say Councilwoman Sherry Bolden Simpson kind of touched on this, but I guess I'm a little confused because, as mentioned, requesters would still be able to review tapes without a fee. So my question is, are residents viewing redacted footage? And if so, how is there more time spent providing redacted tapes versus a resident reviewing redacted footage? It is my recommendation that the city creates a budget to cover the cost of legal review and redaction of footage. Even though I speak here tonight in opposition of this ordinance, I am very pessimistic because the citizens of this community have been here before. I say that to say that minds are pretty much already made up, and hearing from the community is basically an illusion that you care to hear what we have to say. I've been in rooms where there have been a majority of the community in opposition of a bill or an ordinance, only to have some of you vote in opposite of what the majority of the community want. I just pray that for once in your life that you listen to the citizens of this community. And if you chose not to, just remember when you decide to be reelected, just let them know what it was that you voted against, because those issues that you voted against was in their best interest. When you start politicking and come into our neighborhood, be sure to let us know what it was that you voted against so that we then can make a sound decision. Thank you.
Yes, it's Logan Foster, 1138 College Street. Members of the South Bend Common Council, I address you tonight to oppose Ordinance 4325. By proposing fees of up to $150 per law enforcement recording, this ordinance jeopardizes the transparency and equity our community stands for. It is essential to remember that your role as an independent branch of government charged with representing the people of South Bend, not merely implementing directives from Mayor Mueller's office. You have the responsibility to check executive authority and to ensure public policies reflect fairness and accountability. At the heart of Ordinance 4325 is a fee structure that pushes justice beyond the reach of many. Fees of up to $150 per video and higher costs for multiple requests unfairly burden those already funding these resources through their taxes. The Washington University Law Review makes this ethical dilemma clear, stating, "Imagine if police departments across the nation sought funding for a new program described as follows. We propose a video surveillance program targeted toward heavily patrolled low-income neighborhoods of color in order to gather evidence of crimes such as drug possession, vandalism, and resisting arrest. We will primarily use this evidence to prosecute criminal cases against civilians, not police officers, while withholding it from defendants to encourage pleas and allowing access only to those who take the risk of going to trial. The public and the media will rarely, if ever, gain access to these videos, and we will release them at our unilateral discretion. We will, of course, own and control all the footage. If this were the avowed purpose in description of the program, few would support it. Yet this is precisely how most police body camera programs are currently run. Expressed in these blunt terms, no public official would dare to defend such a policy. Yet by imposing prohibitive costs on body camera footage, this ordinance brings us dangerously close to such injustice. Transparency and accountability should not be privileges reserved for the wealthy, but rights accessible to all. The South Bend Tribune has labeled this ordinance unattainable and counterproductive, warning that measures like this undermine trust in law enforcement. Importantly, the St. Joseph County Democratic Party has issued a statement strongly opposing this ordinance, saying, quote, "These tools were adopted to promote transparency, accountability, and public trust, not to shield misconduct or limit oversight." And it must be noted that every member of this council is a Democrat. To support this ordinance would be to act in obvious opposition of your own party's guidance. Black Lives Matter South Bend declared, with a majority Black Common Council, this bill is an absolute affront to Black residents, voters, and taxpayers in South Bend. With 6 Black members on this council, your votes are especially significant to those you represent. The St. Joseph County Libertarian Party added, "What we're getting is a toll booth, and the people of South Bend deserve better." Over the past 2 weeks, I've heard from more than 100 residents from across our community and across the political spectrum. Their message is clear. This ordinance is deeply flawed and unjust. From 2018 to 2025, this council nearly doubled the police budget, increasing it by more than $26 million. With these resources, it is entirely possible to fund an additional person for processing records requests without shifting the costs onto residents. As legislators, it is your responsibility to make decisions that uphold transparency and justice, not to create punitive barriers. Approving Ordinance 4325 would prioritize bureaucratic efficiency over the people's right to information, further damaging trust in our government. But by rejecting it, you affirm your independence and dedication to open governance, and you demonstrate that you are truly listening to your party and your constituents. So I urge you to oppose 4325 and seek solutions to preserve accountability, transparency, and invest in accessible government for everyone.
Any other members of the public in person?
There are none in person, but we
Okay, at
do
this
have
time, we'll
one.
go to members of the public online.
We do have one member online that wishes to speak in opposition. Mr. Geiger, please unmute yourself and state your name and address.
Look, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Jordan Geiger, 302 South Falcon Street. Just, yeah, speaking in opposition, I just want to again reiterate the fact that if this passes, this will create even more of a financial burden on the communities that are already cash strapped, that cannot afford to pay out $150, as much as $150 for body camera footage, and folks who live in the most over police communities. When you look at the West Side and the low income communities, we are the most over policed, and we have the most interactions with police, I'm sure. So it just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem just, and it doesn't make any sense that if there's time and money and effort being spent on this from the legal department, none of the money that's raised from this goes to the legal department. So as everyone says, it just makes sense to just include it, as a line item in the legal department's budget. And on top of that, you have nobody from the public that I've seen who is speaking in favor of this, not online, not on social media, not in person. So if you're listening to the residents of the community, I think overwhelmingly folks feel that this is a bad decision, and the council shouldn't be acting in this way.
Thank you. Any more members of the public online or in person?
We have one more member.
Good evening. My name is Kathleen Kirschner. My address is 538 Marquette Avenue, South Bend. After hearing all of the preceding individuals who came, their comments were so eloquent and they were so well prepared. I'm here for an entirely different reason, but I would just have to say to my councilwoman and to my friends here on the council that, of course, opposition to this ordinance is so very obvious. That amount of money is just so much. I'm a middle-class woman and I couldn't even imagine coming up with $150 in order to get the information that is supposed to be public. So it does seem antithetical to the idea of public records and that we should be retaxed for what should be transparent and just a matter of justice for our citizenry. So I'm down for no as well. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else, we will now close the public hearing on bill and return back to the petitioner and the administration for any rebuttal.
Thank you. Before I get into some of my rebuttal comments, I wanted to give Kylie Connell and Chief Ruskowski an opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Jenna. I can go first. Kylie Connell, Assistant City Attorney, offices at 701 West Sample. I just wanted to go over a few things that were brought up in this discussion. Just as a reminder, all criminal-related records are being turned over in the discovery process. No criminal defendant is being withheld or being asked to pay for records as a part of their criminal case. Now, if they want other records outside of their criminal case, that's separate. But if it's part of their criminal case, they are not being charged for that. That would be illegal for us to do. They have to have their evidence. They have to have it through the prosecutor's office as to what the evidence is against them. So that is completely separate. As for someone mentioned public resources, that they should all be available to the public to view, as it's a public resource and should be open to the public. And I just find that that is a somewhat mistaken thought, that body cam should be available, all body cams should be available to the public at any time. That would be like thinking that a patrol car should be available to anybody to use to go pick up your groceries at any time that you want. I think we can all see that would be ridiculous and unreasonable to have somebody use an officer's vehicle for their own personal use. And that's not expected. We don't allow people to transcript the patrol cars. Body cam is somewhat of a similar aspect in terms of, yes, the public is paying for the cameras. And yes, it is available to view in circumstances where it's deemed appropriate. And I think the police department has done a phenomenal job of producing videos quickly after incidents, having press conferences, showing what's going on, showing the video, making it available as needed and as requested. And that asking for a minimal fee so that people actually stop and think before they just request everything is very reasonable. It's reasonable to say that you should have something in this as well if you are going to request all of the body cam, all of the MVR, front and back, for an incident where somebody didn't even get arrested. We're just asking you to assess what is being requested. Because for anyone, whether it be the legal department who's reviewing or a person in the police department, if a position was opened up, they're going to be reviewing the same content. And we're asking the public to take a thought of what is being requested and not just asking for everything in every circumstance, because it's going to be on some level not an efficient use of someone's time, whether it be the legal department or, like I said, a position in the police department. It's not an efficient use of time to watch an empty seat in the back of an MVR, the motor vehicle, where nobody is in there, but you have to watch it and listen in case the radio says something that needs to be redacted that's completely unrelated to the case, but you still have to pay attention. And it's circumstances like that where I think we would all agree it doesn't matter who's listening to that, it's going to be inefficient and not an effective use of taxpayers' dollars. So the whole purpose, as Jenna had mentioned at the beginning, is that we're asking people to really think about, what do I want? What do I really need? And then the other thing is efficiency, that we have individuals in the department, in the city, who are being able to be efficient in what they are doing and what they are producing. And one final thing that I just wanted to address is AI. AI can be wonderful. I think we all love to play around with ChatGPT and see what it produces. But I think we can all agree that AI has its flaws. For example, I think we've all heard the cases where attorneys have used AI, and guess what? The court found out, and the court was not very happy because it was a fake case that they presented to the court. We certainly don't want to have that circumstance where we're trusting AI to do something. And the programming that we do use does have AI involved a little bit. There is some facial recognition. There is some things that we can do to track people that we're trying to blur their image. We can use transcription in our review, and it can give us a transcript of what's being said, but it's only as good as what the video is. So if it's dark, if the image is the side of the face where you can still kind of see it, but not very well, you're just not going to produce a good blur of that individual based on what AI is telling you. AI might not even be able to tell you that that is a person, or the AI might tell you that that lamppost a couple feet away is a person. And then you're like, no, that's not correct. So you have to go back and change it. So AI is great in terms of like a grand thought, but we're just not there yet. Even in transcribing, it's only as good as the people that are speaking, how close they are to the mic, how if there's anything in between the mic and that person. And we're talking about like just brief little mentions of social security numbers, birth dates, things of that nature. If AI can pick it up, great, but AI is not always going to pick it up. And so I just wanted to mention a few of those things, and I'll turn it over to Jen again. Thank you.
Okay, we'll ask the administration to kind of wrap things up.
Over 5 minutes.
Scott Ruskowski, 701 West Sample Street, the South Bend Police Chief. I echo almost everything that Kylie had said, but I just have a couple bullet points that I jotted down as this was going on to apprise people of. First and foremost, when we make reference to the 92 counties, only 6, maybe 7 of the counties have a population of more than 100,000. So it's not fair. Yet again, this is an apple and oranges thing. When we talk about our county, which is around 300,000, and other ones aren't even remotely close to that. Again, there's only 6 or 7 counties that have more than 100,000 people. I say that because I remember vividly back in 2022 when it was then President Raphael Morton, we had just a conversation. It wasn't anything about to do what our future looked like. He was just running some questions by me. And coincidentally, when he was president, the county passed an ordinance, which is identical to this, other than, as Jenna had alluded to, the steps getting to the cap at $150. Another thing is, this is not the police. This is not us obscuring or doing anything with that. That is not us. That is city legal. And I say that because I too watch videos daily, horrific videos daily, if I'm not at the scenes. And watching what officers have to contend with, they know what their job, as was stated before, is, but they shouldn't have to see those things. And then we have somebody assigned to city legal. They have a person who goes through them who certainly didn't sign up for those and has to watch those horrific things. It was also mentioned in the budget that we went from 26 to whatever the amount is, and that's apples to oranges as well. I'll give one example. Squad cars back 6 years ago were 20,000 fully outfitted. They're 80,000 fully outfitted now. That's not me. That's what happens. So cost of living, everybody in this room, including me, experience it. There's salaries, contracts, technology, all these things cost. Again, we are not the ones who are obscuring or redacting. And one thing that Kylie didn't mention is just the simple things that people don't think about. If I go to a scene, and which I often do, and people come up and say, hey, you didn't hear this from me, but so-and-so got into this car and whatever. This person is now a potential target. Also, when an officer is sitting in their squad car, maybe just watching a crime scene, if their computer is open, their body camera is on, if I release any of that information that's on that computer, that's illegal. They would shut NCIC, IDAX would shut us down. We would not have access to that. We'd have to beg for forgiveness to do that. Those are things that AI may be able to pick up, maybe not, but we're talking human beings that are looking over things, that are involved in every single thing that we do, that we're looking at, that they're looking at to put out. Flock was another one that come up. That is not ours. That is another company that takes pictures. We don't have storage. We don't hold on to any of that stuff. They do. So it's my opinion, I haven't talked with legal about this, that Flock would have nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. So with that being said, I'm in favor of this because I know what they go through, know what they have to contend with. And I just myself experience when somebody who wasn't at a scene, has no involvement in a scene, is asking for 19, 20 different officers' videos, maybe at that scene, multiply that by 3, because you have body camera, you have in-car camera, and then you have inside of the car itself cameras that all have to be gone through. And if you look at a scene like a shooting, when you have that many officers for several hours there doing the math, you're talking 300-400 hours total of officers, and multiply that by 3 or 4 if somebody has to go through and redact those videos. Reasonableness, the media is very good about being precise in what they're asking for. Other people who are not media are not good at it at all. And I've had people in my office, people in this room have been in my office reviewing videos at no charge.
Council members, I understand that our time is nearly up and I need to wrap up. I just wanted to reiterate that we don't see this fee schedule as being a burden to lower income individuals, because based on the calculations that we did, the individuals that are residents of the city comprise a very small portion of the requests that we get. And the majority of those folks have other opportunities to review the video that I spoke about and that Kylie spoke about. And so we would ask that you send it forward with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Back to council members. Any follow-up questions? Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
I have a couple questions. First, I would like for you to come back, would you please, and tell me, what did you say earlier about the police review board? Pastor King, the director, does he get to see the videos and then report back to his committee of what he's seen or not? Because I thought I heard you say something different. So would you please explain?
Kylie, did you want to take that one? I know you explained the CPRB part of things really well.
Sure, yeah. So Pastor King does have an opportunity to view the video with IA, with Internal Affairs, and go over the relevant evidence, but that he's not given a copy to take back with him to share with the board at this time, mostly because the board is still relatively new. I don't think it's really come up that they need to have an actual copy yet, but he has an opportunity and he can report back to the board what he observes on the videos.
Well, that is what I said. I said, does he have something? He goes back and report to his board, but the board is saying that they need to see too what's going on. So I just wanted that clarified that he does not have a copy of anything to show the board. He only reports himself.
At this time, he reports himself, correct?
Okay. My next question is, do you think that the public has had time enough and heard enough about this to where you feel that this board should be considering this tonight?
I am happy to answer any additional questions that the council has. If there's things that you feel like still need to be answered, I'm happy to continue answering those questions. I know that was the hope of doing the informational meeting in advance of coming here tonight, to have more opportunities to come have these conversations in a public setting. But if there are additional questions, I am more than happy to continue answering questions.
With the public?
Any questions that come up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Several times you've talked about counseling with people who are requesting videos, and I want you to know I really appreciate that. If you didn't have this fee before this, have you been counseling with people regarding their requests? You've mentioned that people asking for 19 videos. So how is this fee helping you counsel? If we didn't have this fee, can't you still counsel people in requesting videos that they really need?
That could be an option. That hasn't, the idea was to really start that in earnest if the fee were to be adopted, to help people pare down their requests, to pare down the cost. But to your point, that's certainly something that we could initiate those discussions sooner.
Yes, because in order to alleviate the work, counsel the people into that. I also want to, we talked about this facial recognition. I'm just going to put this out here for the public record. Those of us that are full of melanin, that facial recognition is not reliable. And so that makes me very nervous with using that. Go on. I know there's a lot of questions, so that's all.
Okay. Thank you. Couple of things in regarding what the chief said, appreciating the chief though, but the bottom line is this: they will have to go through these challenging type of jobs, whether we pass this or not. They chose to be in sworn officers. I have had to deal with some crazy situations. Today was a very painful situation as a social worker. And some of the things, I've worked in suicide hotlines, I work with all of them, okay? And there are some crazy situations. People who, my father's still alive, he's a Korean War vet, okay? These people have all, for him, he had drafted, but for everybody else who comes in and they work on these issues, they have volunteered their services. We get yelled at and screamed at up here being council people, but at the same time, we chose to do this. And so, and the taxpayers are doing that. So the concept of that this is going to eliminate that is a concern of mine. And when it comes to the issue of, well, only a very small group of people doing this, well, there are those of us who have to be the voice of those very small group of people, because the very small group of people has great concerns. Why does the county not have to deal with this? Well, they didn't have to deal with Eric Logan either. That was a city issue, a body issue. They haven't had to deal with tape issues where we need to deal with issues. That's caused a lot of trust issues. So many of the issues, when you look at their demographics, they are different demographics than what the county has to deal with, what the city has to deal with. And so therefore, there's a lot of things. And just because the county got rid of affirmative action, should we get rid of affirmative action just because the county got rid of affirmative action? So just because all these other people, and then the statement was made, well, we're only using counties. There are counties that we are talking about that have less than 100,000 people. Well, we chose one of your cities was Gary that has 50,000 people. We chose several other cities that are much smaller than South Bend. We're the fourth largest city, and the only two cities that were on there was was Fort Wayne. They had $30 in Indianapolis. And so when you look at those who are hired, Evansville wasn't recorded to my knowledge, but they did. I don't remember what they made, but if they are, fine. But the thing about it is we utilized, and I appreciate you because I asked you for the information and you gave it to us, but we utilize cities all over the place, but even those who were smaller than South Bend. So we can utilize the cities that were smaller than South Bend. We also can use the counties that are smaller than St. Joe County. So that's it challenges that argument. So again, the whole argument that has been made is that people are worn out, they're tired, they need to have all this stuff, they're dealing with tough, stressful jobs and everything else. So that is a budgetary issue. And a budgetary issue should have been in next month, and we have 2 months to decide every single budgetary issue. Y'all sent us a good book. We studied it, but some of us take time over the years to study our budgets. And I think majority of this council has now. So therefore, we take 2 months and people question us, yet we are having to make this in 2 weeks. The same information that you're going to come and every other department head is going to come for us and give us 2 months to make the decision. Y'all are talking about 2 weeks to make the decision. And all of these things are real great concerns. And as was stated, not one person from the public spoke in favor of this online or in person. It's only been the administration that has pushed this. And the citizens have come to say that we need to listen to them. And we need to say, because transparency, and the final point, poll tax issues to me are really interesting. I mentioned my father, who's 95, from the state of Alabama. And anything that comes with transparency, when those folk had to face poll taxes on voting, anything like that is a concern of mine, whether it's poll tax on body cameras, poll tax on this, because law has been made where we now have to be further away from the video because of cameras. And so now we have to be further away from financials. And you clearly stated that a lot of these are institutions who are insurances and all these other businesses. Whether you put $150 on them or not, they can pay it. That's not going to stop some insurance company. That's not stop some rich person from doing this. But the average person, it stops the average person. And I'm for the average person. That's why I came out here to fight for. Rich people can take care of themselves. But the average person, that little person, that struggling person, I know what it's like. Yeah, I have a lot of degrees, but I've had to struggle too. And I know what it's like. So that's what I'm for. And that can be African-American, Polish, Hungarian, whatever. Everybody, no one knows when you have to face that camera. And we as a city has done very well with our police, our body cameras and everything else. This is not a time to put a damper on them. And this will only go to legal, not to them. It should be voted down. Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
I'll be last, so I'll defer to Ms. White. I'm very, this is a very interesting topic. And again, a lot of the questions that we've asked, Jenna has been very gracious in making sure that we understand it. A lot of the misconceptions was that this is going to be burdensome on lower income individuals, and we're concerned about that. And so, again, I believe that this helps to ensure managing the public records without compromise and transparency. And also, people have the right to inspect. So for those who said this is a tax or whatever, if you're a victim, you have, through discovery, you have the opportunity to be able to get this video. So it doesn't have to be a barrier that stops people from being able to access information. I've had to do it myself. And I'm a video, I went to school for videography, and I understand that to cut a 1 minute video promo Um, it takes a lot longer than a minute. It could take several hours. So I understand. I am concerned that, and I understand that the fees doesn't go back to the department, because then people will be saying, well, they're using this to build their department. It goes back to funding the technology that allows us to be able to do this, and it's state statute, and it's what the law requires. I'm sure if they could, it would be go back to the individual who has to do this video and be able to, you know, make a lot of money doing this. I think somebody gave a number of $100,000 or $50,000. So again, my biggest issue was making sure we were clear that those individuals who need to see it can view video for free, and those who need it in a hard copy, that's where the fees begin. And I think we need to make sure we reiterate that, is that you can view video for free. It's if you want to take a hard copy, and they have the things that has to happen in order to be able to release that video, then that's where the time comes in. So I just want to say thank you for your information, and we will see.
Mr. Chair, can I just? I would like to say to the public that I live in District 2. I represent District 2. I do not represent color. I represent anybody that live in District 2. And I want that on record, because it has been said tonight about how many blacks are up here. I don't represent just black people, because I was not voted in by just black people. I represent all of District 2.
Yeah, Member Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. President Lee, in his comments, said some things that I fully agree with, and so don't need to repeat. So just want to be on record saying that much of what he has said, I also agree with, but I would like to add just a few other points. And one is as a fiduciary body of the city of South Bend, it is our responsibility to steward resources well, while ensuring access to our residents. And so it's a balance that we do. So in the ways that President Lee had mentioned, we are allowing access to those who need this footage. The requesters, as defined by state statute, we will work with others to help narrow down the scope of what they in the APRA request. And there are other means to do to seek, I guess, if there are complaints through the Civilian Police Review Board, as a body that our community can go to help to hear your complaints. It could include review of video. We just haven't necessarily had that. It's a new board, so really haven't had a whole lot of time to explore that or to have those before the board. So that's one point. I'm struck by the county passing this similar ordinance in 2022. It passed unanimously. And with very little, I guess, pushback from the public. And so I guess it's a question that I have, why we are the city of South Bend within St. Joseph County, And yet there wasn't that kind of pushback just a few years ago. Then the counselors stated that they were supportive of passing the county ordinance to address labor costs and the volume of requests that they've seen coming to them, and to promote the efficient use of staff time, resources, and taxpayers' dollars. That's something I agree with, and I think that I believe that the intent of this bill is to do just that as well with the city of South Bend. And I think finally, I just want to say that I'm really compelled by the majority of requests coming from insurance companies, law firms, businesses, entities who can absorb the cost. And while we all are concerned about how this affects the most vulnerable in our society, we believe that there are other options and channels for them to get the information that is being requested. I guess my question is it really fair that we, the taxpayers, that all of us, the taxpayers, subsidize the majority of these requests that are coming from businesses and non-residents of the city of South Bend? That's a question that continues to stay with me. If we don't implement these fees, we are essentially, as taxpayers, subsidizing the majority, overwhelming majority of the requests that are coming in. Only 10 on average annually are coming from state statute defined requesters. Thank you.
I don't have any. I think everything has been said. The only observation that I'll make is perhaps there needs to be a little more time for discussion by council members. And that's what I'm observing, because what Rachel hit on to say that we are subsidizing the majority of these people that are just not individual. The number's very low. I think they was somewhere at 10, 12, 11. And they're facing hundreds of APRA requests. So I don't know if that's the right thing. Perhaps the council would just wish to vote on it tonight and get it over with. I don't think that there's a rush to do that. I would suggest that perhaps we give it another 2 weeks.
Any other comments?
Here, I would like to make some comments. I weren't going to make any comments, but again, as I stated early on, you can see the levels of questions that just came from the council members, and there's a need to clarify that. If we're looking at an ordinance that is just very important, we need to have clarity, and we need to be able to articulate, what is actually the impact and who's going to be impacted. It's very clear that the percentage of citizens is very, very low considered, when you begin to look at the lawyers and all of that. But I think the public has a right to come to us and to share their concerns and to be heard, and that's part of our job as well. I don't take offense to it. They have a right to share their comments, and then we have the responsibility to listen and to look at and hear those comments and see how it can or cannot impact our decisions as we move forward. But that's part of government. And I think that this council has given the public opportunities and continues to, to be heard. I think that's an important part of our jobs as well.
Mr. Palmer, if we make a motion to table to the next council meeting, that would mean it would bring it right back to the committee of the whole.
That's correct. And then the question becomes, is the public hearing still open?
Mhm.
And that's subject to the chair.
Okay, then I would like to make a motion that this be tabled under the committee of the whole, returned back to the committee of the whole for further consideration at the next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure to clarify. So at this time, we have a motion to table Bill 4325 to the, I'm gonna find the date here. It would be August 11th. Is that correct?
Correct.
To the August 11th date, back to the committee of the whole. And that would be to also include opening public hearing. Is that the motion?
That would be up to you as the chair. I
Okay.
didn't want to include that.
Well,
But I will say that I will be holding a meeting between this date and the next meeting for the public.
You're in your Personnel Finance Committee meeting for the
Yes.
bill? Okay.
Probably along with Residential Neighborhoods Committee, do a joint meeting so we can reach out and get out all the final things settled.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to table.
Point
the
of
bill.
question? I think the question was answered, but I
Okay.
want to make sure, because my question is, as I'm thinking 2 weeks is not long enough, but what are we doing in those 2 weeks? Y'all are talking kind of low.
So
What are we doing?
She said there will also be a joint, and correct me if I'm heard wrong, there would be a joint committee meeting of the Residential Neighborhoods and Personnel and Finance Committee to have additional discussion on the bill within that 2 weeks period, and then it would come back to the committee of the whole.
How will we make sure our public is here? That's the thing. If they're not here, see, I've come from that education realm, and it doesn't matter. We
Well,
have to
we
get
can push
done.
it out through social media. We have a Facebook page. We have neighborhood associations. I mean, that's normally how things get pushed out.
And I think
So-
it's a good idea to have, have a diverse group of people be able to again weigh in on something as important as this.
It's an important topic. So I do call for the question. I have a motion on the floor. It's been
we
duly
got a
seconded.
motion
I'm
and a
asking
second.
for the roll call, please.
Okay, at this time, Clerk Toronto, can you please do a roll call on the motion to table the bill till August 11th to the committee of the whole meeting on that date? Thank you.
Councilmember Dr. Davis,
I'll say yes for right now.
Councilmember Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember McBride,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Please tell your neighbors to come here. Aye.
Councilmember Warner,
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
I
Bill-
have 9 ayes.
Thank you. The bill is tabled to August 11th. At this time, I will entertain a motion to rise from the committee of the whole and report back to the
So
full
moved.
council.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The committee of the whole is now adjourned, and we will return back to the full council. Thank you.
The full council is now back in session, and this is the portion of our meeting where bills are given a third reading and action is taken regarding the bills that were heard in the committee of the whole. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Bill 30-25 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 1114 Mayflower Road, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation from the committee of the whole?
The committee of the whole sends the bill forward with a favorable recommendation.
I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 30-25.
Move for
I
passage.
second.
There's been a move for passage. All in favor? I'm sorry, roll call.
How to take a roll.
Yes, I'm sorry, roll call.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Dr. Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
30-25 has been adopted. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Bill 42-25 a third reading?
Third reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 740 North Brookfield Street, Councilmanic District Number 2 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Counselor Warner, is there a recommendation from the Committee of the Whole?
The bill comes forward with a favorable recommendation from the Committee of the Whole.
I will now entertain a motion.
Move for passage. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll.
Councilmember Dr. Davis. Councilmember McBride.
Aye.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Councilmember Nisgowsky.
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson.
Aye.
Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Vice President Thomas Morgan.
Aye.
President Lee.
Aye.
9 ayes.
All right, Bill 42-25 has been adopted. There are no resolutions. Bills on first reading. Clerk Toronto, would you please give 44-25 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, approving a petition of the Advisory Board of Zoning Appeals for the property located at 221 North Ironwood Drive, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I would like to entertain a motion to send to the Board of Zoning Appeals for public hearing on August 4th and to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on August 11th.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, would you please give Bill 45-25 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, annexing to and bringing within city limits of South Bend, Indiana, and amending the zoning ordinance for property located in Clay Township, contiguous with therewith Councilmanic District Number 4, for 54528, 54550, 54570, 54606, 54610, 54638, 54650, Willis Avenue, South Bend, Indiana.
I will now entertain a motion to send to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing September 22nd, 2025, and to the full council for a third reading on October 13th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Clerk Toronto, please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. All right, it's getting late. All right. I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right, thank you.
I'd be here on my birthday.
Clerk Toronto, would you please give 46-25 a first reading?
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance for property located at 1432 South Bend Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 4 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to send to the Plan Commission and public hearing on August 18th, 2025, and to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on August 25th.
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposition? Motion passes. Clerk Toronto, please give 47-25 a first reading.
First reading on an ordinance of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending the zoning ordinance and seeking a special exception use for property located at 431 Dundee Street, Councilmanic District Number 6 in the City of South Bend, Indiana.
I would like to entertain a motion to send to the Plan Commission for public hearing on August 18th and to the Zoning and Annexation Committee for public hearing and third reading on August 25th. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Motion carries. Unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business? If not, is there any new business?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a new president of the South Bend Plan. That's Frank Fatia. Jason Piante, I hope I said his name.
Piante.
Correct, but yes, he had to resign, he relocated out in the county, so we, in our meeting last week, Frank was the vice president, and we moved him up to president, and in our meeting coming up in August, we would choose a vice president. And for that, so he's our new person.
All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I announced this before, but on August 23rd, the 5th District is doing a spruce up at 9 a.m. Around the area of Monroe Primary School. So everyone's welcome, even if you don't live in the 5th District, to come and help us just uplift our community. And uplifting 5th District is uplifting the whole city. Thank you.
Anyone else? I just want to say that I too have taken the Clean Up Your Neighborhood Challenge from Ophelia Gooden Rogers. And this past weekend before the rain hit, the Far Northwest Neighborhood Association cleaned up Elmer, Meade, Fremont, and Olive Streets. So I see that Councilwoman Sherry Bolden Simpson is now taking up the challenge. And so it is a good thing for council members to be involved in our neighborhoods and to help with cleaning up when you're walking the neighborhoods and picking up trash and seeing what's going on. It really does give you a greater appreciation to try to make sure that we are making sure that our residents are receiving the best services that they can. So thank you. Thank you.
Are you trying to call out a challenge? Because I've had 3 cleanups already in the 3rd district. So y'all need to catch up.
Well, we didn't hear about it, but
Oh.
but we are. So I took I took the Ophelia Gooden Rogers challenge, and so we're very much appreciative of all that.
Well, like she said, you gotta catch up because I done did 4.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. There we go. We're gonna work on catching up then. All right. Privilege of the floor. Here we go. Thank you all for staying with us as long as you have. Privilege of the floor. Disrespectful, rude, or disruptive speech or actions will not be tolerated. Such speech or actions as well as, and please understand, verbal attacks on any person may result in the individual, without noticing, forfeiting the remainder of his or her allotted time. Individuals who wish to address the council must state their name and residential address. Individuals will be limited to 3 minutes only, and the maximum time limit for this portion of the meeting shall be 30 minutes. Individuals shall not be permitted to address topics which the council has heard previously on the agenda. The council president may assign a topic raised by an individual during the privilege of the floor to the appropriate council member and/or request the city clerk to contact a member of city administration for review, and topics assigned shall be responded to at the next scheduled council meeting. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Sue Caslam, 4022 Kennedy Drive. As you know, over the years, I have definitely been someone who champions transparency, particularly financial. But I'd also like to bring to your attention that as of July 1st, a state law was passed requiring all public meetings be videotaped. That would mean your committee meetings, that would mean your police boards, your committees, everything is supposed to be on video. And so I'd like to see that you're in compliance with that. I'd also say that you're not in compliance with financial records being available. But anyway, perhaps your attorney Palmer can research that new state law that went into effect July 1st to make sure that the public is duly informed of all parts of government now. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do Teams meetings on all of our committee meetings and all of that. So we are in compliance. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Is it midnight yet? No. Okay.
My name is Debbie Bury. I live at 1350 Catherwood Drive, South Bend. We were here last week listening to some information about the code enforcement issues that was going on, and per Sherry's request of coming back in a group as we were. As you do notice, this whole front row is all residents of Catherwood Drive, plus the 3 that were behind us that did leave. We're just trying to get the information and out to this to get a nuisance of a property at 1353 Catherwood Drive, South Bend. This has been a nuisance property since 2021, when the property owners, Eugene and Edith Gardner, as per requested, we did find the information on the owners of the property. Since their death and the property owners in the last 6 years, numerous homeless people have been squatting at this address. This has caused and has continued to cause safety issues to the property, the owners of Catherwood Drive. The issue with the properties have become progressively gotten worsened, and severity of the increase has emerged. The current inhabitants of this property are James Snodworth and Mandy Garnett. They are no relation to Eugene or Edith Gardner, and has been involved in most, if not all, the incidents at this property. Listed below are a handful of the incidents that have occurred, from verbal altercations with neighbors, including name calling, yelling, racial slurs, and intimidation, repetitive short stays of traffic almost every day at any time of the day. The kind of traffic, it happens mostly overnight, which you can see and hear the way our houses face the streets. The lights come in from cars that turn around in our driveways and back off. Domestic disputes between James and Mandy, some of them resulting in the police being called, ambulances being called, dog catchers being called, as well as being taken away in the police cars or by ambulance. Overdosing and drug use on the property, consistent trespassing on neighbors' properties, even with asking them to stop, in addition to adding to the front of the property a building frame without having a permit. Consistent trespassing, as I did mention, burning unpermitted items after dusk, and including burn bans in the state, resulting in 5 to 10 foot flames, which have their trees overhung and overgrown, which could catch on fire, as well as the neighbors' houses. And they do this after dusk, sometimes 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They've broken into 2 cars on the blocks. Pets have at this address have been consistently getting out and hostile towards neighbors. Actually, one of them actually got out today. One of the neighbor kids tried to help catch this dog, literally ran across Brockton, didn't even look, and she could have gotten hit because of this dog.
30 seconds, ma'am.
About for the last year, we've had no utilities, and where they've gone to the bathroom in buckets and taken them down the road to Kroger's and dumping the buckets in the sewer drains. This is like a numerous things that there's about 7 or 8 more bullet points that I could have. And there's people saying at the property that we've never seen before, outside, rolling joints, stripping down, changing clothes, getting showers with buckets of water, where there's kids and everyone out in the front yard, not in the backyard. And we're just trying to figure out what we can do to help get this taken care of.
Okay.
President Lee,
Yes.
I did forward those to you.
I would like to see if she could share that information with the clerk and your contact information in regards to those areas that you cited. And thank you for coming to the residential committee meeting. We heard, your concerns, and also we began to work on them and to really give, each and every one of you assistance that you've asked of us. So if you could share that information, then we'll make sure it gets in the right hands within the administration as well.
We've also, but we also were talking to Officer Bourne
Oh, good, yeah.
afterwards,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
and he gave us the information to be able to send him stuff as
good.
things happened.
Mhm.
So I have videos of the dogs out that I need to
Okay,
send
good.
him, plus the fight they got into last week. So thank you.
I'm sorry, could you just spell the name? I just wanted to get the address correctly. Could you say that, is it Cotton?
Catherwood?
Catherwood. So it's like, it's CATHERWOOD.
Thank you,
Okay.
Catherine.
Thank you. Catherwood.
Catherwood.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
My name is Connie Retzloff. I also live at 1340 Catherwood Drive. I just want to reiterate what she says. Everything that she says is true. I'm not going to repeat it, but we've had pedophiles there. We know that because the police did remove them, but then we found out they came back. So we have young children that are just getting to the age where they're riding their bikes and they can't go up and down the street. We've been dealing with this for 4 years and we just want to see some action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Too shy.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Y'all waited.
Come on.
We'll listen to you. I know you're tight. You're sitting down for long.
Got one of them
I
hips
feel you.
like mine.
Yeah.
My name is Kathleen Sheely, 1358 Catherwood Drive. I'm new to the neighborhood. I just moved in. I've been there 8 months. And already I've seen a man pull up in front of their house. This guy was out of his head, threatening his girlfriend, and the police came out and the girl said, everything's fine. So the police left. And then this guy was still out of his head, went up to the house and came back a different person. It was like he had a fix and came back and he was all mellow. Another incident, there was a naked man running up and down the street. And then he tried breaking into the house next door and tried to get into their car. And I'm just new, and that's 2 things I've already seen. And they've come to my house several times to charge their phones. And in the beginning, I said, fine, I didn't really know everything going on, but after these things that I've seen, they came back to me again. I said, no more, I'm not gonna charge their phones anymore, so. That's all I got.
Thank you so much. Again, we appreciate all of you for being here tonight, and we are now, okay, well, you guys got to come on now. If you're going to come, stand up to the podium. Thank you, because after this, we adjourn, so.
Hi, my name is Al Howell. I live at 1344 Catherwood Drive. Recently, we've been having a problem with these people at their residence. They're building a little shed out there in front of their house. It makes our neighborhood look like trash. And we can't get anybody to resolve anything about this. They got tarps wrapped around it. They got a stupid looking artificial door on it, whatever it is. They're out there at 2 o'clock in the morning working on their vehicles in the middle of the street. And we just can't get no answer out of why we can't get something done about this. They're walking out at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning with grocery carts full of God only knows what. And they're taking it up to their house. And I don't even want to know what's inside that house. And it just disgraced the neighborhood. And another thing I'd like to know is why can't we get more police officers now and then patrol that area? We asked for more protection through there, and we see maybe 1 or 2 squad cars come through there 3 weeks. Why? That's all I got to say.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we do want you to know that hold on a second. We do want you to know that since the neighborhoods meeting, we have heard our residents, because it's not just your area, it's in different places, and we are working adamantly to move things quickly to be able to get you the relief that you need, because nobody needs to live in chaos. Nobody. Yes, come on, please, please.
You earned your time.
Rodney Hagedorn, 2220 Highland Avenue. I've spoke to you about this area. This will be the second time here, but we've had several other meetings. It's progressing to go worse. I feel very bad for you guys, but you're dealing with one house. We're dealing with 2 blocks worth of the same thing you explained daily in and out. This weekend alone,